The Dershow.
Let's really understand what the International Criminal Court's indictment against Israel does. It puts the United States right in the sights of the ICC. Everything that the International Criminal Court said about Israel and about Netanyahu could be said about the United States and numerous of its presidents, from President Bush to President Obama to you name it. Every single thing that Israel has been accused of, the United States has been accused of, not formally yet. But if a precedent were to be established that Netanyahu can be arrested if he goes to Canada, then next is going to be President Trump getting arrested if he goes to Canada. The ICC is causing more problems and is creating horrible, horrible precedents. I was on the Piers Morgan show today, in which I was debating some jerk who believes that the Israeli genocide is the worst documented genocide in history, including the Nazi murder of 6 million Jews and millions of other people, including Romani people. But you know, if he has Israel derangement syndrome, so if it involves Israel, it must be the worst. And it's just remarkable because what he said on the show and the other person who was anti-Israel on the show both essentially said, this is a good precedent to go after the United States. They said it. We want to go after the United States. The International Criminal Court should be arresting American soldiers, should be arresting American generals, should be arresting American presidents, should be arresting American secretaries of state. As you know, there was a statute presented to Congress that didn't pass, but this, I think it was called the Invade the Hague statute, which would have compelled the United States to use military force to free any American soldier that was arrested. Well, we're not going to do that, but we should impose sanctions on Canada and on Trudeau. If Trudeau dares to arrest Netanyahu, he should be subject to sanctions. He should not be allowed to travel in the United States. The same thing is true of any other European leader. Now, for me, the most ironic thing would be if German police were to be arresting the prime minister of the only Jewish state in the world. I don't think it's going to happen. Germany has hinted, saying, well, you know, maybe we should, maybe we might, but because of the Holocaust and what we did, maybe we'll give him a pass. You know, that's not the reason for giving Netanyahu a pass. The reason is he didn't commit any war crimes. The reason is that the International Criminal Court doesn't have jurisdiction over Israel and the United States. Remember, the United States refused to sign the treaty, the Rome Treaty that established the International Criminal Court. Israel refused to sign the treaty. Where does an international court get the power, any power at all, over people who didn't sign on to a treaty? It's unthinkable. You can't create a treaty and then include within the treaty people who refuse to sign it. There's no international law that governs the United States or Israel short of signing a treaty. Now, the United States and Israel did sign treaties establishing the United Nations, but the International Criminal Court is not a United Nations court. It was established by a separate treaty, the Treaty of Rome. I know because one of my good friends was the first prosecutor at the International Criminal Court. I went there and I gave a lecture to the prosecutors at the International Criminal Court. I was a guest. I represented a dozen people in front of the International Criminal Court over the years, met with people in the prison of the International Criminal Court. By the way, if you're going to go to prison anywhere, go to prison in the International Criminal Court. I went there and met with one of the alleged war criminals from Yugoslavia. And he had his whole big room and he had a coffee pot and he served me a little bit of liquor. I don't know if he was allowed to do that. He had, I not remember if he had caviar or just, it was like he was inviting me to his hotel room and serving me some of the best food and drink. So it's not a hard time when you're in a prison in the Hague. It's not like being in a prison in the United States or in many, many other countries. of the world, but the International Criminal Court has destroyed itself. It's committed suicide. Ultimately, it will be disbanded. You cannot have a court that claims jurisdiction over countries and people who haven't signed on to the jurisdiction of the court. Now, the United Nations is different. We did sign a treaty, but we should abrogate it. I don't think the United States should allow itself to be bound by United Nations resolutions. Look at what the United Nations is and what it does and what it rules. Look at who the people are. I mean, the head of committees that are supposed to deal with sexism are Iran. It's outrageous. And the non-permanent members of the permanent members of the Security Council, include Russia. They're telling us, or the Human Rights Council includes Iran and sometimes Syria and other groups like that, from whom we can really learn great lessons about human rights. Let's consider Syria for 1 second. Syria, the head of Syria, has killed hundreds of thousands of people by using gas, by using poison gas, by using banned weapons. Has the International Criminal Court ever issued a warrant against him? No. As far as the International Criminal Court is concerned, Bashir Assad can come to Brooklyn and enjoy a nice pizza, and nobody could attack him. If he did, we would sue him. Obviously, we would serve him and sue him for the deaths he's caused among Israelis and Americans. But in terms of the International Criminal Court, forget about it. They don't care about Syria. They don't care about Iran. They care about Israel, and they will care about the United States. Mark my words.